this is Chris the Nightmare Ariola, and you're watching Mission Boxing Today on YouTube.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, so I got sent this message on Twitter, man, some weeks ago. So shouts out to Dragons Boxing on Twitter. He sent me a message asking me what are my thoughts on the Serbian prospect, Boban Filipovic. And what's ironic is this guy's 40 years old, so it's probably the oldest prospect I've ever done a video on as far as other prospects. And if you guys haven't already, go to my playlist and go to Heavyweight Prospect, and I have about 70 prospects in there that I've covered over the past year. All right, now when I break this guy down, you know, I went to BoxRec. They don't list his height, but just looking at the Muhammad Ali Dermaz, almost got you guys right. I said Muhammad Ali, but Muhammad Ali Dermaz, that's the guy he fought. He's listed at 6'2" on BoxRec. When I watched that fight and I seen their weigh-in, Filipovic looks maybe an inch taller, maybe. So he may be around 6'2", 6'3", somewhere in there. He's 21-0 with 19 knockouts. And when you go to BoxRec and you look at Serbia and then you go to their rankings, they have him the #1 guy in Serbia. Then they have Samir Kurtijic, who is #2, who's also 40, ironically. But when I broke down the style, now when you go on YouTube, there's probably about 10 or 11 fights that I've seen. I watched about 7 or 8 of them. Watched a few yesterday, and I watched about 3 this morning. The Gaza Nemeth fight, when he knocked him out face first, pretty much came forward. He's a guy that likes to throw his right hand. He throws this nice little looping right hand. He likes to come forward. That's his thing. Likes to come forward. He can go back to defend himself, but he's really not a back foot type of fighter, at least in my opinion. I've seen him reset sometimes where he's coming forward and he's probing with his jab. He's looking for an opening for that right hand, but he's probing with his jab and he's trying to look for opening for that right. If he doesn't see it, you know, he'll step back, give himself some time, move. You know, he'll switch it up on you, but I don't think him going backwards is his bread and butter. I think he should work a little bit more on the inside, but the guy's 40 years old, you know what I mean? So he's pacing himself in some of these fights, and he's setting him up for the knockouts. But he was very aggressive in that fight. The Dermaz fight, the Muhammad Ali Dermaz fight, he won a minor title in that fight. I believe it was a WBO or WBU, I'm sorry, a WBU minor title he won in that fight. He was pretty patient in that fight, coming forward, being aggressive, landing some good body shots, nice overhand rights in that fight. And some of these other guys who he was fighting, I'm going to butcher their names, man, but Drenik Sasa, he was setting him up, taking his time. He was resetting in that fight, being patient, trying to find a home for that right hand. The Roda Jensen fight, pretty much hit that dude with a nice right hand, and I believe it was right hand that caught him, and he didn't want no more. He went down and pretty much just took the 10 count. He didn't want no more in that fight. Then there was another fight, Toma Valaovic. I can't pronounce these guys' names, but from what I see, majority of these fights, he likes to throw the right hand. He has pretty good balance. He likes to probe with his jab. He'll flick it out occasionally, but he wants to get close, come forward guy, good right hand. Seems pretty tough. I don't know how durable he is because he hasn't really been in there with with anybody of note. But 40 years old, so I'm sure he wants to get this on the road, man, and start to get some type of fights. Samir Kurtijic, who was rated #2 in Serbia, right behind him, he's been in there with guys like Edmund Gerber and Francisco Pianata and Takum and Dimitrenko and Marius Wach and Otto Wallen and Adrian Granat. The Adrian Granat fight, Granat was the first guy to stop Kurtijic, although he's been in there with all these good prospects and guys that were prospects coming up at the time. He got stopped. Then I had one of Kurtijic's family members, or at least they said they were his family, came to my video and said that stoppage was bogus. I haven't seen the footage, but they said the stoppage was bogus and he shouldn't have been stopped. Because I was impressed that Granat was able to stop him, being that he hasn't been stopped and he's been in there with Dimitrenko and Takum and so on and so forth. So I'm saying that to say that if Kurtijic's able to get those type of fights, you would think that Filipovic will be able to get in there with, some of these guys. maybe a Ajay Kabayel or Iju Agano or Tom Schwartz or Michelle Wallace. How about Bogdan Dinu? I think that'd be a good matchup. Then, if he's trying to get like a guy that's more experienced, try to get a better fight, like an Edmund Gerber or Christian Hammer, how about Andre Radinko or France Real? Or how about David Price? I know Price is looking for stay busy fights, and, if he doesn't want to take on somebody that's rated by the IBF, how about a fight like this? At least the guy is 21-0 with 19 knockouts. He isn't, world renowned, but at the same time, at least it's somebody with an undefeated record. Somebody's going to come forward, come in to win. It's aggressive. Yeah, he's 40, but I'd rather have Price fight somebody like this than somebody that is coming in on a 7-fight losing streak, or, a guy that has no experience or something like that. But some people really want to see Price against somebody in that top 15 of the IBF, and fair enough. How about Price versus Adrian Granat? I think that'd be good. But, yeah, that's my thoughts about Boban Filipovic, man. He turned pro in 2013, so he started pro at 37. So it's not like it's a guy that been pro for 12 or 15 years. I'm not too privy on any of his amateur experience, so I'm not going to act like I know everything about this guy. So I'm not sure how extensive his amateur experience was, but watching him as a pro, think he'll be a great matchup for an upcoming prospect who's looking to take that next step, or maybe a guy like I said, a Edmund Gerber, a Christian Hammer, or Radinko, who probably looking for a good fight against somebody with a good record that they could put on their resume, and maybe they can get a fight against him. But 40 years old, man, so he wants to get a move on, and starting to get some of these fights. I don't know what his plans are as far as his career, but from what I see, I like to see him get in there with somebody, man. I think he'll be a good matchup for an undefeated prospect, a prospect that's around that 18, 17-0 type of prospect. I think he may be too much for a guy that's 3-0, 5-0 type of prospect. I think he may be too much for those guys. But hell, man, Otto Wallen. I know Wallen. Some of these guys have fights coming up, but Iju Agano, somebody like that, I think it'd be a good fight. You guys let me know what you think in the comments section, man. I'm out.